Hey, what is going on, guys? Root of the Null here, coming back at you with another batch tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to be doing something that's kind of cool, kind of fancy. And we're actually going to be using the color message script that we've been working with maybe I think it was a while ago. Yeah, if I think back, it has been quite a while. And the color message script allowed us to sort of display things out in color in batch and sort of line by line. We don't have to worry about it changing the color of the entire prompt. It did make things a little bit slower, but really, I guess that it's a double-edged sword. You get some nice aesthetics. It's a more powerful tool and weapon. It's not really, but I mean, if you were going with that double-edged sword analogy, maybe, whatever. But you're more likely to hurt yourself with it if it's a double-edged sword, so it's more of a drawback on it. It takes a little bit of time, but really, it's not that much. It might be less than like 30 nanoseconds. I don't know. I'm a doctor. I can totally map time. That sentence didn't even make any sense. I just threw together anything that whatever. All right. Whatever. Let's do the friggin' tutorial. Who cares? I'm not even gonna try and redeem myself for that. All right. Notepad++. There it is. That's where we're at. Now, let's go ahead and create something new. I'm gonna call mine batch shell.bat because we're gonna be building our own shell. How about that? Now, we're not really building our own shell. It's sort of a strange term. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen right off. And I'm going to actually set the title. I'm going to call it batch prompt. And that's all. I think that's a pretty cool name. It looks good to me. And I'm going to make some new lines. Can we actually do that? With like echo off. And we might have to just do each one on each individual line, which is kind of ugly. Might even be able to loop it. So 4-L G. I don't even want to use G. I just want to do it over again. Whatever. That's enough of me talking. Let's just go ahead and suck it up with some ugly characters. Echoes off. Echo. Echo. That sort of thing. So we're going to create some new lines just so it's nice and visual, it's clear, it's clean. So I'm going to go ahead and call color message though. That's really all we need to be worrying about. And remember, color message allowed us to use some of the colors that we would normally be working with inside our color sort of function here, or script, a command. It allowed us to be using black, blue, green, aqua, any of these colors inside of the prompt, inside of our shell, or cmd.exe. So when we supply like D, that means it's purple. And if I had some space characters 1, 2, 3, 4, and I said like welcome to batch, and then a nice smiley face because I'm happy and I'm excited that we're programming in batch for some reason. There it is. I get a nice little banner. It's cute and adorable. And then maybe I actually want to know what day it is. How about that? So we're going to actually loop through a command. Do you guys remember how we did this? We were using the for command with a -f tag, and I'm actually going to be using some options, setting tokens to equal everything so we get all the information, not just only a piece up until we get the first space character. I'm going to use G as my variable, and remember we used actually single quotation marks and then our command. So the date command will actually return the date for us, and we can go in more in depth with the date command later on in another video. But for now, that's going to get us the date, and date can actually go ahead and equal G. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and call color message with bright white colors 1, 2, 3, 4 the date. Alright, now let's get some new lines, clean it up a little bit. And here is, right now we're going to actually build the core, or the little backbone of our shell. So we're going to turn this into a subroutine, or something that we can call over and over again. We're going to index it with a label. And now what I'm going to do is set input. Now input is going to equal nothing by default, so that way if you haven't actually typed anything in, it'll stay that way. It won't actually use the variable that you've already entered previously. So it creates a new line each time with an echo period. And now we're going to build our own prompt by using color message. So that way we can actually have it be a really colorful prompt. We get more information. It's more visual. It's not as cut and dry. It's not as dull as the regular cmd.exe. So if I were to go ahead and call color message, and you guys can obviously use as many colors as you'd like here, but I'm going to use some green stuff with A, and then I'm going to go ahead and run a couple more commands right after that with an ampersand. I'm going to keep calling color message, passing in new colors and getting more information. And we can even pass in some environment variables in here, so we get some information about the system. And then if I call color message with A again, this time I'll use an @ symbol, maybe. So it's going to be like my username at the host name. Alright, C. So it's bright red, I think. Computer name. And then we'll end the little parentheses thing that we've got going on called color message. A. Ending parentheses. Make a new line. And then I'll want my current directory. Color message E. So CD, the environment variable where we currently are. And then color message. Actually, we need to call that, of course. And then maybe D again for our purple. And I can have just like a greater than symbol for our prompt. And then that's great. Our prompt is actually visible now, but now we actually need to allow the user to be able to type something in. So we use our user input thing where we set P prompt, and input is going to equal nothing. Because we've already created our prompt over here, we don't actually pass anything here. And that's really all there is to it. So we get this empty area where we can just type things in, and that's pretty easy. Now what we're going to do is actually call CMD one more time from within the shell, but we're going to use a C tag, and what that does, it'll execute one command and then immediately exit out of the shell. And it does this so we can actually have a visual and see what's happening. We can see that the command is running, and you know, and so we just get the output of that command, and it's visual for us as the user. But we don't actually make any modifications to this current script, because since this is obviously a script, we can't actually run anything without interrupting the progress of our script. So we do it inside of like a sublayer, or cmd-c. So this way we can see the output, but we still actually want to be running the command, because how about, or at least what if, let's just say, who knows, we're actually setting a variable. What if we decide to set a variable? We still want to be able to access that, but if we're creating it inside of a temporary CMD session here, because it's going to run the command and then immediately exit, we don't have access to that variable anymore. Do you guys see the problem here? What if we wanted to use that variable? Well, we still do have to run it inside of our shell, inside of this current script that we're running. So, what we can actually do is run input as a command, but we don't want any output of it because we're getting the output from this version up here. So we can redirect that to null or nothing. And how about we wanted standard error too? We can redirect that. Remember we were using 2, redirected to the ampersand 1, so it's going back to null as well. And then we can just go ahead and go right back up to our run, so we can loop it one more time. Let's say, though, they didn't enter actually anything for the command. We don't want to run nothing, because if we try to redirect nothing to null, then, dude, it's gonna have a hissy fit. Our shell is just going to immediately close on us. So what we have to do is actually test if the input is equal to nothing, then we immediately go to run before that. Because we don't want to redirect nothing to nothing. Then it's just going to, like, throw up. And we don't want that. We don't want that whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is get Explorer open, batch shell, and if I run this, you can see we've got something pretty nice here. We've got welcome to batch, we've got a cute little smiley face, he's looking right at you, he's winking, he's flirting with you, man, he's hitting on you, dude, that's adorable. And we've got our date, not like a romantic date, just the actual day of the week and stuff. And then we have our username, the name of the machine that we're working at, our current path, like we would normally see in our prompt, and we still have all the color, and we can enter in information. Like, that's not available as an external command, obviously, but if we were doing dir, we can still see the output. And we can scroll through it, and we have all this nice stuff. But what if we wanted to set string to equal what? You know, and then if we go ahead and echo out string, it's available for us because we're turning that into something there. And if I hit enter over and over and over again, we don't have any input for us, so we don't have to worry about that. We can clear the screen. That works perfectly fine. But there is still a little bit of a problem. What if we echoed hello? And we wanted to redirect that to something, but let's say we got a little bit too ahead of ourselves and actually hit the enter key before we sent it to something to redirect to. Well, our shell does not really like that. It throws up. It breaks, it dies, it coughs and starts hacking and wheezing, and it has to be rushed to the hospital. That's one of the only drawbacks, along with actually running some of our scripts. If I were to run create string without calling it, if I were to run create string and then pass what to it, it stops, just like prior. But if I actually ran call create string with what as a value, that runs perfectly fine. We can still have access to our string variable. So this might actually be a good thing, though. This might actually even get you into the habit of using the call command when we're trying to run one of our external programs or sort of functions or tools that we created earlier. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe we're actually able to work with this in a better way. I don't know. It is really up to you guys, but I did want to introduce this idea to you guys. I wanted you guys to be able to know that you can build your own shell. You can customize your prompt. You can customize your shell to have colors in it the way you want it to. Batch shouldn't have to limit you just because it's not in there by default. We can add it all by ourselves. And that's the moral of the story here. All right. All right, I'm getting all what's that word? Sympathetic? No, that's not it. Sentimental. That's the word I was looking for. That probably doesn't even make sense anyway. Whatever, guys. That's enough for this tutorial. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you guys use this. I think it is nice. And anyway, I'll let you get back to what you were doing before you're watching this video. Hopefully you're watching my earlier videos. If not, I recommend you do so. Goodbye, guys.